No better way to start the post-Russell Wilson era than with our guy, Jimmy Palm Trees, because it's been a dark space in Broncos country for 8 years. So, James, you're going to bring the sunshine to us, aren't you?
Well, I'm always known for being too realistic and not daydreaming too much, so I don't know. That Jimmy Palm Trees thing might not come out today. We'll see. It's kind of nice out.
And we've got our guy, Super Bowl 50 champ Todd Davis back. We've got you here, and Zach Stevens rolling with you on the DNVR Broncos podcast. Less than 24 hours into the official post-Russell Wilson era. How's it feeling, Todd?
A long time coming. I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like, like we're finally here. We all said it would be here, and now I'm trying to figure it out.
Man, another year, another quarterback search for the Broncos.
Yeah, that's the fascinating one. Like, here you go again.
Yep.
Like, it is remarkable, this stretch. I don't know anybody else who has been on a search like this. Is this going to be the 7th different Week 1 starter since Manning retired?
Yep. It would be, wouldn't it?
Right? Wouldn't it be?
I think so.
Well,
7th in 9 years.
Did Trevor start? He obviously started in 2016. Did he start in 2017 too? And then they brought Paxton in. So he would have done.
Paxton didn't start the season
Twice in a row.
Those were Todd's years. He should know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Listen, it's so much of a whirlwind. I don't even know.
I know
for
Todd's
sure.
like, there's too many to count.
What are we at? 17, something like that?
I don't
An
know.
insane number.
Yeah.
Can you name them all, Todd?
Not at all. Not even gonna try.
Not even going to try. Last year, Garett Bolles, when they benched Russ and brought in Jarrett Stidham, he was talking to media, and he was listing all of the quarterbacks. And his only mistake was, instead of saying Jarrett Stidham, he said Case Keenum twice.
That's pretty good for Garett.
Yeah,
honestly, off the cuff like that. I wonder if Garrett's ever had like a lengthy conversation with Joe Thomas. Just like Joe in Cleveland, Hall of Fame left tackle, one of the best ever play at block for like 1,000 quarterbacks.
Yep. So this
Who
is
is now a coach in Munich, by the way.
Football?
He's coaching offensive line for the Munich Ravens.
Dang.
I talked to him the other day, moved the whole family to Munich. The kids, everybody, just doing a year abroad.
Did he just
That
want to
sounds
get
awesome.
away?
Yeah, he
from
wanted
America?
to live. He wanted the
Because-
family to live abroad, just to
Wow.
like get that experience. He's got like 4 kids.
Because I'm sure he could get an offensive line coach job somewhere.
Probably
in
could.
the
Joe's
States.
great. Joe used to work with us.
Yeah.
He's awesome. But yeah, he's coaching in Germany. But anyway, Garett and him have a lot in common.
Unfortunately. So, James,
Yeah.
obviously, the news yesterday wasn't a surprise at all. But what's the step forward now for the Broncos? Because Russell Wilson didn't play a snap on his 5-year, $242 million extension. So that's how this impacts the Broncos moving forward is, one, they don't have a quarterback, and two, they have $85 million in dead money that they've got to deal with either this year or over the next 2 years.
Well, they'll deal with it over the next 2 years. They're not going to do 85 this year. Like, that's just not possible. Now, how they divide it between the 2 years, there's 2 different ways to do it. It's how you divide. I don't know if you guys have gotten into this. It's how you divide his roster bonus, whether it's going to be, I think I have it, because it's kind of complex in a sense. Like, you could do 53 this year and 32 next year, or 35 for this year and 49 next year. Now, you would think you'd want to take more of the dead money in 2025 if you look at the way the cap went up this year. Are you going to have another monster jump like that? Well, then taking the cap money in 2025 being larger than this year, that's what I would probably do, just estimating with the way the league is doing financially, and that plays a huge part in why the cap jumps the way it does. And this year with the, was it 14% or whatever, the massive jump it had, if that happens again, then your dead money doesn't impact your roster as much if you take the larger sense in 2025. I was not surprised. I would like to, I usually come and sit in this chair and like negate all like rumors, right? They were right last time I sat here. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
Let's not look into like the Broncos come back from Indianapolis. They fell in love with somebody. Let's rip, the Band-Aid and get rid of Russ. Like, that didn't happen. But you wanted to make sure when you really got into this process, and step one is the combine, and dive into this. It's kind of talking to people in the building yesterday. It was fresh start today. like total fresh start in what we want to build and how we want to build that position. It had, I don't want to say nothing to do with the combine, but don't read into this happening right after the combine. Like, we had a meeting with somebody for whatever they are, 18 minutes, 13 minutes, and now let's cut Russ. Like, that's not what happened.
So you don't believe in love at first sight?
I don't really. I'm not going to lie.
Man.
I want to ask, Todd, you were at the combine, right?
No, I didn't go.
No, my God.
Yeah.
What a stupid league we have. Terrible. I was going to ask you speed dating, what it's like.
I can tell you about speed dating, but not. No, I didn't make it to the combine.
And look at you.
It wasn't a opportunity I got, but I think it all worked out.
I think it totally all worked out.
Yeah.
That was probably, I mean, not to go completely off topic, but wasn't that one of the best parts of Jason Kelce's speech yesterday, where he was like, you can have a dude from Stanford and a dude from community college playing right next to each other, and they're both phenomenal at this game. Like different, like the variety of ways you can get into the NFL and succeed is endless. I don't think every sport is like that. No. I think the NFL is an outlier in that sense, and it was what makes it great. Yeah,
and I mean, the best part of Jason Kelce's speech to me was what he was wearing. It was like he just came in from a workout.
He wore the Jason Kelce uniform, flip-flops at all times.
That is incredible.
Yeah, it was a great speech, great person, player.
Did you get emotional being a Philadelphia guy?
Oh, hey, he gave the city a lot of love.
He did.
It's misunderstood. I think he tried to help us out a little bit, as misunderstood as Philadelphia is. But no, he's one of my favorite people in the league. Like, there are certain guys that you trust what they say. They'll always shoot you straight, specifically if you're just having like a private conversation. Hey, man, like, what's really going on? They'll always kind of tell you. They'll always make time for everybody, and they're brutally, brutally honest. And also, he's a Hall of Fame player. Yep. Like, that's a different sense. You need guys like that, man. And look at that. The dude was a walk-on, like what we're saying. Didn't get a single Division I offer.
Yep.
Walked on at Cincinnati as a fullback, I want to say.
Really?
Yeah. And the strength and conditioning coach told him, you know what, I think you'd be a pretty good center.
Wow.
And he was like, let's give it a try. And changed the position forever in terms of speed. Let me ask you this, Todd. I just like picking Todd's brain when I come here.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Zach. When you have athletic centers for your position, how hard is that? How quickly they can get to the second level where you're at, and how well they move? Is that troublesome?
It makes it way harder. I think any linebacker's dream would have to have a center or a guard have to stay on the double team so they never touch you. You can make all the plays. When you got that guy climbing so fast to second level, you got to get through him to make all your plays. Yeah. And then when they're athletic like he is, you can't just avoid him or get him off of you. Like, you got to really deal with him to try and get to the ball. And, at least 5 out of 10 times he's going to win that matchup because he's so athletic. So it makes any linebacker's day hell going up against super athletic O-linemen.
Yeah, that's what I was always curious about from your perspective, because we always talk about from Jason's perspective.
We hate
just being a great athlete. You have to hate it.
We hate it, yeah.
Yeah, to get to the second, to have to deal with a 300-pounder?
Yeah, it's not fun.
He's moving, man. He can run.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't want to deal with that. No way. So you did the research. It's this next quarterback will be the 14th different or the 15th different starting quarterback for the Broncos.
So I said week one, 7 different week one starters.
Yep.
14. Wow.
Yeah.
Yayo.
It's a rotating door.
Yeah.
Keep the carousel going.
Big time. I think there was a little bit of a thought. I would say an outside perception of the building of Mark Rodgers going to go and look and see what Russ's options are, and we can talk about his options if you want, but and the Broncos are going to go see what their options are, and realistically where we sit in the draft, what are our options, and maybe everybody comes back and goes, maybe what's best for us is to reunite. But if you knew what was going on in the building, that was not a possibility of happening at all. This just was a football philosophical difference that boiled over to the point of this just can't work anymore. So I know there was some hope going into Indy that was maybe a chance.
Yep.
That never realistically was a chance.
No, and it just starts with the fit. You brought Sean Payton in here to revamp the offense, to get the offense back to modern-day football. And when he was around Russ for many months, he just realized, I can't do this with Russell Wilson. That doesn't mean that Russ can't go out to Pittsburgh or Atlanta and succeed, but it was not going to happen with Sean Payton. And when they brought Sean Payton in, it was not, okay, Sean, you have to change your offense to work with Russ for the next 6 years of Russ's deal. Sean said, I'm going to try to make it work with Russ, and if not, you give me that year, and then I get to move on if I want to.
And Sean did change his offense, and Russ did try to make changes. I won't give any credence to the idea that neither one of them tried. I think they both gave it a really, really honest go. I think Russ came into the season really looking to change a lot of things and was open to changing, and I think Sean changed a lot. But even on the defensive side of the ball, Todd, like, isn't the word, like, we're going to mesh these systems, like, terrifying to a player?
For sure.
Right?
We saw it the first 5 games of the season. That's exactly what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
Mesh the last defensive coordinator with what Vance is doing, and we see how that worked out.
It's got to be like
It does
nails
not
up
work.
your back, like up a chalkboard, going like, meshing these systems together. It's just the worst.
That was year 1 with Russ here.
I know.
Nathaniel Hackett, that was always said was we're going to mix what I've brought and what Russell Wilson can do. We're going to mix those two things together. And it was the worst offense in the NFL.
It's terrifying to do that. It really is. Because, I mean, players, and I'd love a player's perspective, you're kind of trying to constantly, figure out, like, is this part of the old way? Because I was kind of taught how to do this. And there's things even within the system, like, well, we're supposed to block it this way. But no, the new part's going to, which part of the meshing am I going with here? Like, it's just, I feel like mentally it puts more on your plate, right, Todd, about how you want to go about it.
Yeah, and I think, like, understanding defenses and offenses, you run certain schemes because you know how offenses will attack those schemes.
Yeah.
When you come and mesh, you don't understand all the details to why we did what we did. So you come and do different things and change things, and now we're getting attacked, and you don't understand, but there's a reason why we did it that way with that guy.
Yeah.
That was his scheme. You can't just mesh things together because you don't have that understanding for exactly why we do different things and why and how defenses are going to attack them. And so I know from a defensive perspective, it just doesn't work. It's too hard.
It's too hard. And on offense, too.
Yeah.
It's just as hard or harder.
And we saw that. We lived it in the first year of the Russell Wilson experiment. Man, what word would you describe the Russell Wilson 750 days?
The first word that just jumped in my head was complicated, but it really wasn't that complicated. It was... It just never worked. And I don't think it really worked from the jump. Like, they had other candidates they loved outside of Nathaniel Hackett. Man, did they love Kevin O'Connell in his interviews.
He looks like a good coach.
He looks like a very good coach. We'll see what he does with his quarterback, because he may not be coming back. And it was almost like it didn't fit from the start, right? Because it was... Hackett comes, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. Here we go.
Yep.
Now it's Hackett comes, and Dan Quinn has convinced us that Russ might be a good fit, and that's kind of how it happened. And they started looking at, Russ more, and then it was Russ and Nate, and it just nothing ever seemed to fit.
Right.
And I think after the initial training camp, which was one I'll never forget, a lot of hoopla, what was going on, you never really believed it was going to work after being at that game in Seattle.
Yep.
I was there.
The first game?
Yeah. And after that game, I was like, I don't know if this is going to work.
Yeah.
And that's wild to think that.
Yeah. And then 11-19 record since, and I guess 11-18 record since that game. And we're here, and the Broncos got to find their next quarterback. And I'm curious who you think it'll be, James. And before we get into that conversation, do you guys think the odds for the Broncos to win the Super Bowl this year got better or worse after releasing Russ?
Better.
How crazy is that? It went from plus 15,000 to plus 10,000 over at Bet365. Yeah, so I mean, Vegas isn't saying the Broncos are going to win the Super Bowl by any means right now, but right now the Broncos quarterbacks on their roster, Jarrett Stidham and Ben DiNucci. Those are their two options. So Vegas is clearly thinking that Sean Payton has something up his sleeve when it comes to the quarterback position. But you got to check out our friends over at Bet365. You can bet on the Broncos. If you think the Broncos are going to win the Super Bowl, plus 10,000. Pretty good odds there. Bet 100 to win 10,000. But you can also get in on the Nuggets, the Avs. Big games coming up for both of them this week. And then, of course, baseball. Just a month away, so you can get in on everything over at Bet365. And they're going to give you two offers. If you use the code DNVR365 at sign up, you can either bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets, or your first bet safety net offer up to $1,000, where if your bet loses, they're going to give you bonus bets up to that $1,000. So check them out. Use that code DNVR365. Must be 21 and older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, once help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
And when it's time to chill, you should reach for a Coors Light. They are the best beer and the only beer that's made to chill. I think this is the perfect moment for all of Broncos Country, the coaching staff, and even Russell Wilson. I think everybody needs a little bit of chill in their life. Take 5 and grab a Coors Light. When you're ready to hit a reset, grab the beer that's made to chill. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
So you said reset, and I like that because that's a big question now is, okay, are the Broncos resetting? Are they rebuilding? Are they rebooting? Are they saying F all of that? And we're going to get into that in a second, but I got to ask you, James, what do the Broncos do at quarterback now?
Everything's on the table. I find it very interesting that in the release yesterday, and I had some people in the building point this out to me, like that it said, we still believe we have flexibility in free agency to fix this position. I found that part really interesting, and people in the building do too. I think that could be a couple of things. Sean Payton has never had a problem pushing money down the road.
Absolutely not.
Ever. Salary cap. It's like a credit card, essentially. The bill will come due. It's not like, everybody says like, well, then just turn it into a signing bonus. Or the numbers will always eventually have to be paid and stayed under and all of these things. You can just keep pushing it if you'd like.
Saints right now.
The Saints have done it forever. You look at what the Bucs did this past year. Yeah. All those voidable years that they kept tacking onto everybody's contracts to get that Brady group together, got them a Super Bowl. And they had a ridiculous dead cap number this past year. They won the division.
Yeah.
Baker, they signed Baker for $5 million.
Yeah.
And they won the division. So, you're able to do it. You'd like probably a success story like Baker had. The guy's, my guess, and talking to some people, he'll probably re-sign there. I know Atlanta's trying to, look at him a little bit, but it's going to be way above 5.
Yep.
It's going to be like in the 20, 25 a year.
Yep.
Like, that's a massive jump. He probably just wants to, unpack a box. He's been on so many teams lately. But you kind of look at that type of move, if you're going the free agency route, that you can have a player come into your building and mesh with the offensive philosophy the way he did with Dave Canales, who's a really, really good offensive mind, hence why he got the Panthers job.
Yep.
And did great stuff with Russ, by the way, in Seattle. Dave Canales did. Although he did say one time to me, it was great when Geno came in because we could really open up the playbook. And I was like, oh, wow. That was
the Broncos just traded what?
he said that to me like last year when he was in Tampa, because he was a big fan of Geno's. But anyway, if you can find that type of connection between a free agency at that price, something like that, can I throw a crazy name out there? Because this was a very hot button name in Indianapolis after the hours of 2:00 a.m.
That's when the good stuff comes out.
Yeah, that's when the goods come out. And I have no intel to the Broncos to this player, but this would be an interesting type of comparison to that. Mac Jones. There are people that coach the quarterback position in Indianapolis that believe if Kyle Shanahan would have legitimately taken Mac with the number 3 pick, which is kind of what he wanted to do in the first place, and then ended up getting talked out of it because Mac's probably ceiling wasn't very high and Trey Lance's ceiling was through the roof, and why'd you trade all of this for a guy with a ceiling that's about here? There's multiple guys told me this in Indy, like, I think if he took Mac at 3, they would have won multiple Super Bowls by now.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
Just saying.
Yep.
So if that's the way some people that coach the position in this league think about Mac Jones, because let's be honest, it looked terrible in New England, but could you have set a player up to fail better than you did with Mac Jones?
No.
You gave him a defensive coordinator and a special teams coordinator as his co-offensive coordinators in his second NFL season. Like, embarrassing. The roster, specifically the skill position players, was just an abomination. The first year he was there, and somebody that, even though he's a lunatic as a head coach, and everybody in Denver knows, Josh McDaniels got him playing well his rookie year and went to the postseason. What if you went and got, like, Mac Jones for, like, nothing? Because he can't stay in New England. Like, Gerard Mayo's the head coach. A lot of, consistency with that coaching staff that was there. Defense hated Mac there.
They're going to
Obviously,
draft a
Mac was super. Yeah, they're 3. Mac was super frustrated. What if Mac's just sitting there? There's, like, no cost.
What, a 6th, I think I saw reports coming out from last week?
That guy kind of fits what Sean does.
100%.
Processing information, quickly at the line of scrimmage, ball out quick, accurate. That's what he did at Bama, and he blew people away in his interviews in terms of information-wise during his process. I remember following it really closely. I did his pro day. And, like, I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah.
And Tampa as an example of if you go the free agent route, that's what you got to probably look at.
Well, and there are connections with the Broncos. One of the people he blew away was Sean Payton during the draft process. Right. Sean had glowing reviews of Mac. And then just putting pieces together from an outside perspective, it's very easy to say, yeah, Mac is absolutely the type of quarterback that Sean Payton would want. He's going to cost you absolutely nothing. And we've also heard Sean talk about Baker this offseason. He said, man, no one wanted Baker last year, and now look what Baker is. If we can try to find someone like that.
I didn't even know he said that. I feel really smart right now.
He said that at the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And that's absolutely someone that, I mean, we're already seeing it in the comment section. People say, no, not
right?
Mac. And I
and
get
a dirty player, Jose says.
And I get it because of how the past 2 years have been. They've been awful. But like you said, James, no one was put in a worse position as a quarterback than Mac Jones, from the coaching to the players he had around him. And the Broncos, they're not going to go out and get an elite quarterback right now. It's either going to be a rookie that Sean has to turn elite. It's either going to be a free agent that is a free agent for some reason, or they're trading for Mac Jones, Sam Howell, Zach Wilson. Justin Fields, the sexiest name on the trade market, he doesn't fit.
Here's the thing, though. Do you think – no, he doesn't. Do you think somebody would trade for Mac Jones? I kind of feel like nobody would. I'd wait for him to just be released.
Wow. And then he's a vet man type of guy that you're giving nothing for.
I mean, I'm trying to think who would trade for him.
What about the
Nobody's
49ers?
trading for Zach Wilson, are they?
I certainly would not. That is a guy that does not fit what Sean's looking for.
No, I'm just using the landscape of the league.
I would say maybe San Francisco.
I think Mac would be. I think if he wanted to reset his career, sitting behind Brock and being in that building where Kyle actually wanted him is actually a really good reset for him. That was my landing spot for Mac, honestly.
So then,
similar player.
Speaking of that exact thing, what about Sam Darnold for the Broncos? Do you think he fits what Sean's looking for? Because he just had that year of football.
I think Mac does more.
I agree.
You've been saying Mac for a little bit of time.
Zach for Mac, baby.
I do feel like coaching plays like such an important role in, player development and who they are on the field. There's just been so many guys who just are told that they can't do this or they don't have the physical abilities or they can't learn, but sometimes it's coaching. And so if Sean can, press that reset button for him because he does have the intangibles that Sean wants, maybe it's a good fit. I don't know if I'm sold, but
I don't know if I'm sold either. I'm just thinking of what your realistic fits are with what we just went through with the money situation.
Yeah.
The wild part is, like, I mentioned it earlier, like, there's definitely people in Minnesota that do not believe they can keep Kirk Cousins. I think Atlanta is a spot that obviously some people have done some rumblings about, probably over Pro Football Talk, overanalyze that. But
there's things
I wouldn't put it past his wife is from Alpharetta. Not to get too deep into the weeds here, but I believe one of her parents are not well physically. It's not a terrible thought to spend some time down there near the family. Like, let's not read too into it. I know I had Terry Fontenot on our show recently, and they're going to be super aggressive in what they go after. But 36 years old, coming off an Achilles, but he is the most attractive free agent quarterback out there.
So is there a chance the Broncos get him? You mentioned the flexibility in free agency.
Like, I don't think he's like crossed off on any board in Denver right now.
And especially because
he can operate what Sean wants to operate.
100%. I mean, I think he gives the Broncos the best chance to make the playoffs this year. And I know you got to have a bigger perspective than just this year, but the Broncos aren't looking at, okay, let's just look at 2025, 2026. Their owner's coming out. And plus, when you have Sean Payton, you're about winning right now. I think he gives them the best option of any realistic option.
He does. He just has, as it was put to me, a certain contract structure that he is used to living with. I think we all know what that is. Fully guaranteed money.
Yep.
I don't think Minnesota will do that. I don't think they will give him fully guaranteed. We'll see who blinks and see who, holds to their guns firmer. But I don't think that new regime that's there that didn't give him that first contract there in Minnesota will give him a fully guaranteed contract. We'll see if somebody else will. Maybe the Raiders. I don't know. They don't want to Band-Aid it, though.
Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I would think Denver would be on the list of teams that would still be considering him.
If it's a fully guaranteed contract, can you still kick money down the road, or does that mean if it's $30 million this year and it's fully guaranteed, that's a $30 million cap hit?
Well, I mean, you can turn a lot of it into a signing bonus the first year, like a lot of those deals.
So you could make it work with Russ's big cap. So, James, you were also, that's very interesting. Mac and Kirk, I'm keeping my eyes out for them.
Those are interesting ones. I mean, they're still looking in the draft, right? I mean, but they're just the cluster that they're in with the quarterback needy teams there. My point with Mac would be like, let's protect ourselves if we're going to be the member of the musical chairs that's left without a chair. Because somebody in that group with, say, Kirk doesn't go back to Minnesota, they need a quarterback, and the Raiders need a quarterback, and the Broncos need a quarterback, and right above them is the Falcons and the Giants. They both need quarterbacks, and then you have the top three you want quarterback. Somebody's not getting one.
Right.
Because you can reach for quarterbacks, but you can't reach too far.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe you protect yourself with somebody like that that's not going to cost you a lot. You're still looking to get somebody in the draft. I don't know. This quarterback landscape's crazy right now. Mm-hmm. Like, Justin Fields' situation is complicating the entire thing. It's nuts.
And you were just in Indy, and my sense coming out of Indy was that 4 quarterbacks are going in the top 10. And that's not including the Vikings sitting at 11. There might be 5 quarterbacks taken before the Broncos pick at 12, but I really feel like 4 quarterbacks are going in the top 10. I'm getting too caught up in this, or do you think it's going to shake out that way too?
Quarterbacks could easily go 1, 2, 3. There, boom. You got 3 of the 4.
Yep.
Now you just need 1 more picked in the next 7.
Yeah.
I think you got a pretty good chance of that happening. You really do. Now, the problem is that these quarterbacks are really different in terms of talent. I mean, so who do you like personally? But it could lay with Caleb Williams goes 1, then Washington really, really likes Drake May, and New England really, really likes Jaden Daniels. Boom. Worked out for everybody.
Yep.
Then, who's fighting over whoever's next? Who do you got next, Zach?
J.J. McCarthy. I think that might be the biggest riser from last week at the Combine.
Bucky Brooks, who's a draft analyst for us, great player in his own right, by the way, great return man in the NFL, but longtime scout. Bucky was like, he reminds me of Justin Herbert. I was like, whoa.
Jim Harbaugh probably signs off on that one.
He might. Hey, you see him twice a year in the division.
Yep. Oh, wouldn't that be something? After Harbaugh, after the season came out and said that that's the best college quarterback or the best Michigan quarterback, he kind of blended the two, and then he has to play against him twice a year.
There's some questions about JJ for sure. Hasn't really had to win games himself. Little bit slight frame-wise. The game one was interesting. We had John Beck on our show yesterday. He trains everybody, right? Former BYU quarterback. He trains Jaden Daniels. He trains J.J. McCarthy. He trains Michael Penix. When we talked to him, C.J. Stroud was just getting done working out with Stroud, and Jalen Hurts was walking in. Like, that's his building right now. Works with Dak, works with everybody. And we talked to him about McCarthy on the show, and he was like, they've been working on trying to show teams that he could do it. He was just never really in the opportunity to do it outside the game against Alabama.
Right.
Like, that he can go out and win games, put the team on his back late, fourth quarter drive stuff. They've tried to sell teams on that. They've been working on it, honestly, because he never just had to do it. That's one of the questions teams have.
I feel like I hope these guys are as good as everyone's projecting.
Right now, they're awesome.
They're phenomenal. But I just know how hard it is to hit on quarterbacks in the first round.
So
and I always think about this 2021 first round draft class. There's 5 quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance all went in the first round. And the only one that's having a solid performance is Trevor Lawrence. Everyone else is on another team or is going to be on another team this year.
On another team.
Yeah.
Does Mac have the second most wins of those quarterbacks as well?
Yep.
How about that? Mac, the people that are saying, no, what a bust, he's terrible, the second most wins. And that was viewed as, I mean, not only 5 quarterbacks going, but that was viewed as like a great quarterback draft class, Todd.
You want to know what else? None of them have a winning record.
Wow.
None of them.
The generational Trevor Lawrence.
Not even Trevor Lawrence, yeah.
There's
He's
some
20 and
questions
30
about
right
Trevor
now.
lately.
Yeah.
Missing too many layups, and I love Trevor. Unbelievably talented. Just got to hit the layups a little more frequently.
Yep.
But if you're taking in the first round as a quarterback, usually your team's not very good early in your career.
True.
So I get the wins and losses, but everybody being on another team except Trevor Lawrence is the like, that's the wow, these really didn't work.
When was that? 2020?
2021.
2021.
That's before anybody even gets another contract.
Wow, that is nuts.
Craziness.
That is absolutely wild. Okay, James, to put a bow on this, I got to know who your prediction is for the Week 1 starting quarterback, and I'll give you a second to think about that because I'm going to tell you about our friends over at Red Hawk Roofing, where if you need a new roof for your home or business, Red Hawk Roofing's got you covered. They've got quality materials, decades of experience, quick response time. They've got Colorado's best estimators and contractors, and they're part of the DNVR family and have been for a long time, meaning you can trust them. And they've got free no-obligation roof and property inspections and free in-depth photo reports for all inspections. Hail season is coming, so don't wait to take care of this big issue. They're also going to give you a free upgrade to a hail impact resistant shingle. So if you need a new roof over your home or business, check them out at Red Hawk Roofing, redhawkroofing.com, and tell them that DNVR sent you.
And if you guys are following us and always watching podcasts, then you got to head over and check out our social calendar. Make sure you check us out at thednvr.com so you don't miss out any of the future events, the future takeover events at Ball Arena. Don't forget that Monday through Friday is happy hour at the bar from 4 to 6. Follow us at DNVR Bar on Instagram to stay up to date on all events. Once again, follow us on social at DNVR_sports or go to thednvr.com/events to check out the calendar.
All right, James, yesterday, right after they released Russ, Henry, Todd, and I gave our Week 1 prediction. I want to know who you think it's
I don't get to hear
be.
yours first?
Nope.
Nope.
There's been some hints dropped, though.
Are you saying Mac Jones? Is that what you're saying?
Man, I would be happier about it than pretty much anyone else, but I didn't say that.
Okay.
You want to go, Mac?
No. I mean, that was one thing I floated out here. It's not like I'm really getting behind that wagon.
Probably smart.
Yeah. It was more used as an example.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to use a process of elimination. Like, Jimmy G ain't coming here. Baker's going to go back to Tampa.
Yeah.
Fields isn't going to get traded here.
Nope.
We have Gardner Minshew. No, that's like the next tier of guys. Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston. I don't even know Sean, but Sean literally castrated him at the quarterback position and allowed him to do nothing.
Yeah, I think that's in the past for Sean.
I'll say it's going to be a rookie quarterback. I don't know which one it's going to be.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be surprised if we started rookie Week 1. And I will say this. What I don't like is everybody says, Sean doesn't really like to work with rookie quarterbacks. Sean had one quarterback for 98% of his career in New Orleans. What do we know about Sean working with a rookie quarterback or working with these other type of options? I think we have to get that kind of narrative out of our head a little bit because they had an unbelievable thing going there with him and Drew Brees. Doesn't mean he can't work with the other ones. He had Drew Brees for, 16 years?
Yep.
I think we need to get that out of our head a little bit that, Sean doesn't like a rookie quarterback. How do we know? Mm-hmm. I think Sean's very particular in what he wants out of a quarterback. I think he has a better understanding of the more difficult aspects of grading a quarterback than maybe some other people in the league. I think that's an advantage for Denver. And I think he knows exactly what he wants. If it is that, I think a rookie can fix that.
Yeah. Well, we were on the same lines. We said J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah. Both of you guys?
Yep. We all thought it was going to be J.J. And I think they're going to have to trade out for him. Jump Atlanta potentially. But once the draft comes around, we'll know exactly what teams they have to jump because if Atlanta has Kirk Cousins, obviously, they're not going to have to jump that. And I think you're right that we can't say that Sean can't work with a rookie quarterback.
No.
I think he's drafted one rookie quarterback. You know who it was?
Was it Taysom Hill?
Did they draft him?
Oh, no. He came out. He got cut, and then he came to them
CSU
after being
quarterback.
Released.
Garrett Grayson.
Garrett Grayson?
In the fourth round. I think that was the only quarterback that Sean's ever drafted, which is wild. And that was right in the middle of Drew Brees. So, why would they move on from Drew? And, so he hasn't had that opportunity. But at the exact same time, he hasn't had the opportunity, so we don't know if he can do it. So I don't think we should bash him for it. What do you think of Sean's confidence in being able to do it? Because last week at the podium at the Combine, he said, I'm very confident that we'll be really good at this. And fortunately, I don't think a lot of people are.
Yeah, I do think he's very confident. We could look at the guys he's won with. Like, he found ways to win games with Jameis, even though he had to completely change Jameis's career, I think, after he threw, 50 and 50 or something like that, or 40 and 40, like, or 30 and 30. I think it was 30-30
season. There's going to be a 30-30.
Nobody threw 50 and 50. What am I talking about? 30 and 30 he had, right? Wasn't it like 30 picks and 30
touchdowns?
That's
exactly what it was.
He can find ways to win. He found ways for that stretch to win with Russ, even though Russ plays the position very different than the way he likes it. So I think all of those things, Teddy, and when Taysom Hill came in for a stretch, and Jameis, and like, he liked Trevor Siemian. He literally did. The number of people in this league that like Trevor Siemian is fascinating. Number of coaches that do.
An awesome backup.
Oh, he's a tremendous backup. But I think that just shows you, if he does find the guy with the right skill set, I think he would be aggressive going after him, because I think a lot of these guys are very different from one another. I think the medical on Michael Penix is like, it came out really well out of Indy from everybody I talked to.
I mean, that was 2 years ago, people. Come on.
Right? Played a bunch of games.
Get over it.
Played a bunch of games. Well, it was a big concern. And you know why they have big concerns? Because he plays quarterback. But, man, he does a lot of stuff Sean would like. Tons of stuff at the line of scrimmage. Unbelievably accurate, beautiful thrower of the football. I think he's going to look at all these guys really in depth, and I think he does have a better understanding than some other people do at the quarterback spot, because, as Todd said earlier, it is a crapshoot. I thought Sean at the podium actually said it pretty clearly, where he's like, the athleticism, the height, weight, the mobility, arm strength, accuracy, all those things, we're all pretty good at evaluating those.
Right.
It's the multitasking. It's the how quickly can they absorb information? How can they display that to the other 10 guys in the huddle extremely quickly? How do they adapt on the fly mentally? All of those things are the parts that everybody struggles with, because the games are very different. And
that's why I fully expect the Broncos to bring in all of these quarterbacks for their pre-draft meetings.
Oh, yeah. They used like 1 million of their meetings on, I think they met with the top 6.
They did.
They used a bunch of their meetings on quarterbacks in the speed dating world.
Okay, before we get out of here, there's going to be some other moves made this week and next week leading up to free agency and at the start of free agency. Before the Broncos even sign anyone, or before the Broncos trade for anyone, they might be getting rid of some guys. Cutting guys, trading guys, restructuring guys. James, what are you hearing? Who do we need to look at? Because when you look around this team, pretty much everyone is under consideration that's not on a rookie deal.
Yeah, and I think I would start with, and Sean kind of pointed this out, but I would start with anybody that has a rookie behind them. Oh. That was a rookie last year. I don't have any rookies behind him now. Nobody drafted, but you know what I mean?
Yep.
Where, okay, that guy need more playing time. I thought it was really telling how open Sean was about Marvin Mims and being like, the reason Marvin didn't play is like Jerry does a lot of the same stuff in front of him. Like, Marvin couldn't get on the field to do blank, blank, and blank. That's on us. Like, we should have done more. That I'm using that as an example and a correlation to the rest of the spots that you have to look at, going like specifically the center spot. Like, it's tough to get re-signed right now by the Denver Broncos. Like, if you're looking to get re-signed, especially if there's somebody behind you, I would look at every one of those, because you got Luke Wattenberg right behind him. You can move in any spot where somebody can slide up that's on a rookie deal. That guy's in danger of probably being either released or restructured, or I don't know about traded. Trades are hard right now, while every team's kind of evaluating what they want, because it's like they still want to leave their options open in the draft. So trading somebody right now is a bit of a crapshoot. You know what I mean? Because everybody's like, well, I really like these guys and I want them on a rookie deal. In this draft, if you're in the, for certain positions, talking to people, 2nd, 3rd, 4th round is going to be great for some spots. You know what I mean? So
you pointed
restructure is probably something they'll go to first. I mean, I look at Garett Bolles. So we brought him up here before. I think if Garrett was gone, he'd have a market right away. Like, right away. I know teams that are interested in Garrett. Like, he has no problem. I'm not saying he's gone by any stretch, but maybe they ask him to restructure. So, yeah, I do think they got to find ways to be pretty creative here. And I think they're going to start figuring out how to do that.
And I agree with you. I think a lot of it's going to be restructure, but a position
like
you
Tim
brought
Patrick's
up,
one, too. Like
100%. One of the positions that you've touched on multiple times with Jerry, Tim, is the receiver position. And I think that's a position, and tell me if I'm wrong, both of you, that there's going to be change, not just with contracts being restructured, but with at least one person out, whether it's a cut or a trade. And there was some cryptic things going on social media yesterday. Let's pull these up really quick here, because all three receivers reacted to Russell Wilson news with an interesting emoji that I have no idea what.
They all use the same emoji?
Yes, they all use the same emoji. So Jerry just quote tweeted Russell Wilson with the fingers crossed emoji. And it's like, okay, what does that mean?
Okay.
We have Courtland and or Tim, who Tim said, "Thank you, brother. See you soon," with the fingers crossed emoji. The "see you soon" was weird. I found out from a reliable source that Tim lives close to Russ, like in California, so he could have been referring to literally like "see you soon" as in like I'm getting lunch with you later this week.
But maybe lunch could possibly be canceled because he has his fingers crossed.
Right, exactly.
So lunch is not in stone.
And then Courtland also posted photos on his Instagram with the capture, and you can't really see it on this, but it's right below Russ's thigh, and it's the fingers crossed emoji again. What the hell does this mean?
Starting their own team. They're going to start their own
called,
team.
like the Luckies,
the XFL.
or,
yeah, that is kind of weird. Like, fingers crossed on a statement.
Yeah.
You know?
Fingers and they're unified in it.
Yeah. What'd you think of the statement?
I thought the funniest thing about the statement was one of the comments in it said, "Russ, you forgot Coach Payton. You forgot to thank Coach Payton."
I think you should have thanked George Payton.
Oh,
he's got all this money.
Yeah, heck
I would have thanked the guy that paid me out the wazoo.
$120 million in
cash. Tim and Rich. Yeah, I would have thanked those guys.
Yeah.
I thought the middle of it was a bit high school yearbooky.
About dressing specific people.
It's like, Garrett, remember the days after third period? You know what I mean? Like, that's what it kind of seemed like. But I get it. I thought he went out classy. I thought it was done classy from both sides, from what I was told, honestly.
Especially when it could have been the exact opposite. And we even saw cracks of it being the opposite.
Yeah, and it didn't leak. Like, Russ found out from the Broncos. He didn't find out from somebody else, from my understanding. Like, it was held up to where it was done probably the right way.
Yep.
I would think, but that's interesting. We had this massive conversation yesterday on our show about the wide receiver market. Like, these guys are coming out of the combine, Todd, so polished. Mm-hmm. It's like unbelievable. They've been playing 7-on-7 since they were like 8 years old.
Yeah, that's the
and
difference.
It's unbelievable how polished these receivers are coming out. And teams are completely cool with it. Like 2021, Todd brought that up. 6 rookies led their teams in receiving. Mm-hmm. 2022, like 4 of them did, and I think 23, 3 of them did. And you could throw Rashee Rice in there. He led the receiver group, but Travis Kelce led him in receiving. Guys are coming in at receiver spots right now and making immediate impacts, which is, to my opinion, going to start affecting that free agent market of guys trying to get deals. Michael Pittman, all that group after Mike Evans. But the cap went up, so receivers always get paid in some capacity. But rookie receivers now are becoming so valuable, not just to teams that need receivers, but to teams that even have a one. Like, look what happened when Addison got added to Justin Jefferson. Like, bam, you got like 2 monsters. I think rookie receivers are like changing the landscape of the draft in the league right now because you're getting massive playmakers at a discount rate.
They understand the game so much more than their age.
They play inside, outside. They do all these things.
They do it all. I mean, just think about it. When I was playing football, after football, you ran track, and after track, you went to play basketball, and then maybe some people play baseball. Like, from now, it's like your football season ends, you take a week off, you go right into tournaments to 7-on-7, in the more spring 7-on-7, then right back into football. They have the knowledge of, like, college players by the time they're in 8th or 9th grade just because their time playing football.
Perfect.
So now these guys have so much ability and understanding for the game that by the time they get to the league, like, they're ready to go.
Yep. And that's why getting the quarterback is so important, I think, if you're predicting the landscape of the NFL over the next several years, because who gives a shit if you're paying your quarterback a boatload of money? This is an anomaly this year.
Yeah.
What I just ran through was the past 3 years leading into this year. These kids are going to keep coming out at the receiver spot, and you can keep reloading with playmakers around the quarterback, and who cares how much you're paying the quarterback if he's the right guy, because talent is going to continue to come at that position over and over again on rookie deals.
And you know the crazy thing is Sean has actually proven this before this trend even started. I think he's had 3 rookie receivers lead his team in receiving, and I think only one of them was a first-round pick. One was a seventh-round pick with Marquise Colston. Michael Thomas was a second-round pick. He did it as well. And so he's done that 3 times before even joining the Broncos, before this stretch even started. So I think he's very confident in his ability to groom rookie receivers, too.
Your chances of hitting are like, we always talk about the draft, right? Like, who do you hit on? It's a crapshoot to do this. Your chances of hitting on a receiver are getting, like, it's exponentially growing because these guys are coming in so polished.
So that's actually that's a great point, that it hurts the Broncos' ability to trade a Courtland Sutton, to trade a Jerry Jeudy. And one of the things that I heard was everyone in Denver is a lot higher on the trade market for Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. It's not that high.
I thought Court had a good year.
He did. He played well.
I thought Court had a really good year.
All right, before we get out of here, we got some people wanting some questions answered, and hit us with a thumbs up if you're tuning in. We love James Palmer rolling with us today. Show him some support by throwing a thumbs up over on YouTube. All right, let's hit this one from Luke coming in. He says, thoughts on signing a Jimmy G type to a 1-year deal to sit a rookie behind him, especially JJ or Drake May. Would rather they learn from a more experienced quarterback. We need to develop a rookie correctly, i.e. Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes.
Listen, that's the Gary Kubiak method, man. Gary's probably sitting on his ranch. I know he just got a new bull. He's pretty stoked about that, but that's the method he lives and dies by. In grooming a quarterback, it's exactly right. You get a chance to sit a guy. I wouldn't pick Jimmy G.
Yes. Sorry, did I say it into the mic?
very, very emphatically. Yes. I wouldn't pick Jimmy G, but I would pick somebody like Jacoby Brissett, who's like an unbelievable type person to groom someone, which has the ability to play at a high level and groom a guy. That's more the type of player I would think as like that bridge type of guy. I'd be totally fine if that was the path that they went. I mean, you don't be surprised if Stidham filled that role for them this year as well. I mean, they think pretty highly of Jarrett. Like, but I do get the point. Like, I don't think you're signing Jimmy though. He's also coming off. He's got the PED suspension, which is very odd. But he needs somebody that spends a lot of time in the building.
Yeah. And I think he needs somebody who's very proven at their position. And that has done a great job, so that somebody can really learn, how to play at a high level. I think so many guys that have sat behind guys, you always look at the guy before them to kind of talk about how they sat behind somebody to learn. Even Tom Brady, they don't really bring up the starter as much before Tom, because Tom is the one who did so much with his career.
Yeah, Tom was the fourth string.
Bledsoe
was there.
Bledsoe was there, who had a good career, but I just think it's more so about the guy in front of him that had won championships or had a great career in his own right. Even Alex Smith was playing at a very high level at the time that they brought
it's a former number 1 pick that has done it.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was playing great.
I think that's important. I don't know if there's anybody out there right now that I would choose to.
But then if your next step down, wouldn't it be the guy that's like the consummate pro? Like a Jacoby Brissett type of player that just like knows the league so well, is respected in a locker room so well. That type of player is probably, I think, what Todd's describing is that player with a little more success.
Yeah.
If you can get that, that's what you want. Next step down is that group.
Because if you bring in somebody, I think it's also tough because they're learning the system as you're learning the system. They're learning the coaching staff. If you're learning the coaching staff, it's hard to coach and teach while we're both learning.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
We joked about it, or I joked about it, like Gardner Minshew. Dude's like a football genius. Like, you remember, Nick Saban wanted him on his coaching staff when he was going to give up football. He didn't think he was going to get drafted, and Saban's like, I want you to join my offensive staff. While he was still in college. Another guy, that's how smart he is. And look at what he just did. I mean, he was one kind of crummy throw away from going to the second round of the postseason. Like, that's another type of guy that just is respected, knows the playbook inside and out, would help you tremendously as a rookie.
Jarrett Stidham, don't sleep on him, because I think Sean Payton's higher on Jarrett Stidham than anyone.
Loves him.
All right, next one from Dirk, who says, hello, DNVR crew. You guys are the best. Thank you so much, Dirk. We really appreciate that. Thank you for rolling with us. David Freese says, I need Todd's former player perspective on what that emoji, the fingers crossed emoji, means. And Tim Patrick, Sutton, and Judy's retweet of Russ goodbye tweet.
I think they're saying, like, hoping for the best, like fingers crossed, hoping for the best for him.
I kind of like that.
So I think that's it.
I liked playing with you. I hope you land in a really good spot.
And if I land there too, then
that'd be great.
Then we'll be just like this again. Mile High Sign says, sign Kirk Cousins, draft J.J. McCarthy, sit J.J. for 1 to 2 years behind Kirk. That would be the ultimate plan in just like developing quarterbacks.
That'd be an unbelievable scenario.
Yeah.
I say unbelievable because it's pretty unbelievable to do that.
Yeah, if they do that, if they sign Kirk, wouldn't you use that on Brock Bowers, your first-round pick?
This is what I was going to say. If you're going to sign Kirk Cousins, the rest of your capital is going to be, we're in a win-now mode. Yeah. We need to put all the pieces around Kirk as much as possible.
Yep.
That first-round pick is going to a much-needed, the skill positions that are edge, corner. Well, they have a corner, but edge and tackle and and tight. Bowers is a good one. Type of spots that would make your team better immediately.
Yep. Dirk again says, Todd, how much does a quarterback's attitude affect the team on game day, and how does a team deal with it?
Honestly, quarterback is the most important, I guess, leader on the team. You could have a defense-led team, and you can have guys that speak up on the defense, but when the quarterback speaks, everybody listens. So I think it's very important for them to have, a great outlook and a great energy and a great mentality come game day, because everybody's watching their moves and seeing how to operate as a whole.
Yeah, I feel like you guys aren't looking at the quarterback like needing guidance when it's second down and you're on the field.
No, we don't need guidance, but I think everybody understands that we need him. So whatever energy he's bringing to the table definitely resonates, throughout the locker room.
Yep. Do we have one more? You hear? Oh.
What? There he is. Look at that.
Definitely a photoshopped picture here, but you see this happening after a Super Bowl win?
I don't know.
Todd wearing like
cigar thing's really taken off.
Yeah, it really has. Sean wearing like is that a what's he got on his neck?
Ascot?
Yeah, he's got that. Just hugging a shirtless Mac Jones.
Wow.
What a great way to end. And we actually have one question on the website coming in from Big54 says, what's up, fellas? My lady and I just closed on our first home together. No more renting. Congratulations. We've been together for almost 10 years and have been together since junior year of high school. I turned her into a diehard Broncos fan. We drove from New Mexico 3 times last season to come to the bar to watch every division home game. She's also letting me keep my man cave, and I was curious if I buy a Super Bowl 50 champion Todd Davis jersey and send it up to you guys, if I could get it signed and shipped back to be the first addition to the new house. Thank you for what you guys do. You guys are amazing. Thank you. P.S. It sucks that Russ didn't work out, but I'm looking forward to a bright future. Please have it be a bright future.
Hell yeah, I got you, my man. Send it through. We'll get it signed and ship back.
Man, Todd, you're awesome.
I would have loved if Todd said no.
It's got to come with a fresh $100 bill.
Exactly.
Todd's like, I got you. $75.
Yeah. Todd's
So
like,
there
this
you
ain't
go.
charity. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Send it our way, and we'll get that awesome signature to it. Thank you so much for rolling with us today. James, it's always a blast rolling with you. Awesome insight today. Todd, love it as well. Thank you. You hear it, and we'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. on the DNVR Broncos Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.